Hello and welcome to the 7th of 8 videos from the Roman Army 2021 UofW lecture on appearance and identity. And in this 7th video, I just want to make a few points about the depiction of soldiers on tombstones. So this is again more heavily weighted towards the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd century CE. So the age of Polion, so to speak, and to a lesser degree Aemilianus, who appears at the end. Okay, so let's just get rid of me. Okay, so most of the art that I have shown you so far connected to this lecture has been public art. Most of it sculpture, of course, the columns, sarcophagi, and a few exceptions. The odd fresco, a bit of graffiti, etc. Maybe not all of that is public, but much of it is. Okay, and this stuff this is public as well, but this is more private rather than for a large group, or at least for an individual. So tombstones. So we have, I don't know, thousands, hundreds of thousands, many thousands of tombstones. Many of them commemorate the lives of soldiers. Most of them are text only based on what survives, but there are some that include figures. So some images, sculptural reliefs that depict soldiers. So based on what's been published and found so far, there are some 750 figurative tombstones in existence. Don comes in to enjoy the lecture, and now he's trapped. Let's put Don in the video. Don, come. Don says, I love figurative tombstones of soldiers. Connor, thank you for asking. Okay, so 750 or so survive or are published of tombstones with images and soldiers. There are three main types of these. So we have the standing soldier, the auxiliary or legionary soldier charging on horseback, and a groom holding a horse and or banquet. Okay, some of the soldiers we see are armored, some are not, and they are included, or all sorts of accoutrements are included with them. Now, I'm going to show you some examples just to give you a flavor of them. Some of them have been colorized to give you even a better idea of their original appearance. I'll note that the 750 figurative images, these are not necessarily the images of the soldiers themselves in life recreated on the tombstone. Most likely none. Could be wrong, but none of them probably are accurate depictions of the soldiers, not just because of the quality of the workmanship, but maybe made after their death. And a lot of sculpture, like tombstones, but sarcophagi falls in this category too, would be mass produced, and there'd be sort of generic images which could be tailored to individual customers, and so likely sort of a stock image of a soldiers in various poses, tweaked as an individual customer wants. And of course, it costs more to have a tombstone with an image, and the more personalized, the more expensive it gets. So there's all these other factors. But anyway, still interesting, thinking about clothing, appearance, identity, etc. So here is one of the sort of standing soldier with a varied accoutrement. This is a tombstone recreated from Caelius, who died in the Teutoburg Forest disaster in 9 CE, the Legio SL blog, and there you can see the main inscription part of the tombstone here, okay, with a bit about the name and the career, the lives. We've talked a bit about this material, and then possibly some images of family members, and then his face and a connection between the family members and stuff. So some attempt to make it sort of personal with, the same kind of thing we saw in some of the big public friezes with the kind of tunic and various honorable insignia. Here is one of the charging tombstones. Again, a lot of these charging cavalry ones are auxiliaries, a lot of them from the provinces. I mean, it's hard to say much about the specific individual nature based on, what survives. We have our sort of crazed horse, looks like being trampled barbarian, and only bits of the tombstone survive. And the color, of course, is gone. You can imagine many of them would have been more something like this. A lot of the auxiliaries are cavalry, which is, they have more money than infantry auxiliaries, hence the whatever. Here is another standing legionary, okay, from the same blog, and you can see again sort of a similar outfit. This is again not like our segmented armor of my Playmobil guy who's back in business. And there's the inscription, and he's in an altar or something in death, but it's not a very particular image. Here is yet another cavalry one, no groom, sort of trampling an enemy, only in this case, this is a kind of a well-known one that's also been colorized, where we see the epitaph of a soldier from Lancaster, which is sort of northwestish England, heading up towards the Scottish border, and he's kind of standing, charging, but he's certainly on cavalry, and there is a dead, or a prostrate barbarian, though a dead one, actually, because as you can see, he is missing a head, which he's proudly holding in his hands with another graced horse. And there's another standing one. In this case, a soldier colorized. Again, DM makes it like 2nd into 3rd century, and he has... he's not wearing his armor, so you can see a little bit more of the variety. So far, we've seen an example with the armor, the horse, and the guy there, and there. Here, he's wearing, of course, the cloak, and there you see the scabbard for the sword and the belt. So he looks like a soldier with shoes. Again, those are more distinctive in some ways for a Roman, if not for us, of a soldier than otherwise. And then here is another one with just some accoutrements posted on the side, possibly colorized. The greaves, the chainmail, the helmet. And there's the groom with the horse. Okay, so you see a variety of tombstones, and of course a lot of them also include the epitaph, which is dedicated to the deceased. And this is, of course, our friend Flavius Aemilianus from the first half of the 4th century CE, celebrating his life. Okay, so there's a small, very small sample of the kinds of figurative images that we have for soldiers. Gives you a sense of how they're depicted in the few compared to how many there were total tombstones we have. And this is mostly a 1st, 2nd into the 3rd century phenomenon. There were inscriptions earlier, and there were plenty of inscriptions later, but we don't get as many with soldiers, and we don't get as many with, obviously, with the images. So that's the end of video 7.